yeah, I've been having one of those, I was gonna say days, but it's been like a week. It's really difficult, I think, to be an artist. I would say multidisciplinary, but you know, I have my niches that I really like to stick to. There are so many different like things that intersect to make me feel this way. The big overall topic sentence or theme of this, of the way that I'm feeling, is this like immense amount of, I don't even know if I can call it dissatisfaction. I think it stems from this place of fear and, you know, self-loathing, upset. I wish that it was things that more had to do with like jealousy and envy, but I don't think it is. Because I realize I never end up down talking the people that make me feel this way, or the things that I see that people do that make me feel this way. It always just feels like there's something about them that puts a mirror up to me that makes me realize, oh, crap. And I think specifically in an artistic mythos relies so heavily on particularly women being of a certain age, being of a certain standard or a certain creed, to gain excellence. And I feel like it's only gotten more prominent as I've gotten older, and like the more I feel like I try to interact and engage with mainstream artistic like centers, going to events that have to do with like, you know, Turner prizes and stuff like that, and seeing the young men and women who end up being picked, or at least end up having a shot at something. This all goes back to, you know, youth as an artist is so important. I worry about my own youth. When I say things out loud, I realize like how completely insane I sound, because I'm still young. I'm a 26-year-old person, but there are younger. This all got set off because I was looking at this, you know, I was looking at this one like creator before I like left the house, because I have to return an Amazon package. And it was before I left the house, and I went on her Instagram and saw that she was on the Forbes 30 under 30 list. And I have never thought about the 30 under 30. There's not a moment in my life where it actually is something I worry about or think about. I've never conceived of it as a thing. But seeing her on that list made me get this emotional, where I'm holding back tears because I'm like, I have 4 more years until I'm 30. Not even 4. I have like, I'm at the point where looking more like 3. And I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I can't put my finger on anything that makes me feel majorly accomplished. Moving to the UK by myself is something that I try to remind myself is an accomplishment to a lot of people. But a lot of people are not me. So I wonder, like, is my standard warped? Of course it is. But if everyone's telling me to be delusional and to have these standards, then is it wrong to hold myself to the delusion that I set up and expect the better of myself? How much time do I have left to be something that I am excited to be? How do I find things that appreciate the work that I've put in? Is my constant rejection my own short-sightedness? Is it a creation of my own lack of quality in my work? Is it my demographics that might be a part of it? What will happen to me when I can no longer be someone who is a certain age, and that gets applicable to my description for an accolade that I get? What happens when that 18 to 30 mark is finally over and I have to start taking other boxes for my age range? Does that make my worth less viable? Do I enter a section of populace where I'm seen more as bloat and less as good feed? I feel like I have so little time. I feel like my focus on time is because I'm on a visa and I'd like to stay in this country, right? There are obvious things that I need to do, opportunities I need to go after, that make me put a monetary value on my head. In a lot of ways, I don't feel quite human sometimes. or at least like I can view myself with a human lens, because I have to think about every single piece of value that I bring, and I have to stratify it. I have to codify it. I have to make myself not even marketable, but into a data set that can be appreciated by an employer and therefore by a country. And that data set has to bring a certain amount of money, or else it's not worth anything. How can I compartmentalize something so massive? Moving a life. I can't. Especially because it's mine. It's just hard, because then I end up just disassociating completely. Nothing gets done when that happens. And I feel like it's so that I can stop myself from having these days, these weeks, turmoil emotionally and mentally, of feeling this deranged lack that leads to me feeling pent up and sad and emotional, and I feel like I have no outlet. Whenever I've had breakdowns before, I always hate the aftermath of this wreckage that I end up leaving behind, because I feel in my daily life like such an obscenity. And I think a lot of my art was trying to manifest a way to talk about that, to make that visible and tangible, and to feel it and smell it in a way that's not super specific and on a body consciousness, but finding other subject matters and materials that in some way are interest to me, but also I think in the way that I'm talking about them or discussing them or investigating them relate somehow to that way I feel, that way of when you're cold and your hands are cold and you touch your own face and you touch your mouth and feeling what that feels like. For a second, you don't even really recognize what you're touching. You don't recognize who you're feeling. What must it be like to be viewed and have so much behind you and so much inside of your head that it's all happening all at once, that it shuts down every other part of your body to the way that you can't even feel it. I can't even feel myself. It used to be that my art could be something that didn't make me feel anything, but that I could channel feeling into. I feel like I've lost a connection because I feel like I don't have any time to do it anymore. Struggle to find space for it where it can even be somewhat valued or appreciated. You have to give up on being a global talent when the things that you do, the things that you make, you struggle to place them. And a lot of it is my own fault too, because I feel like such an obscenity all the time. I struggle to make social media posts. I have such a high bar for what things should look like, for what things should be. Again, the delusion feeding into actual practice, that if I'm not living up to that delusion, if things are supposed to be on my own metric, by my own metric, then what's the point of posting anything, of doing anything, if I just end up feeling kind of like a silly little show monkey? I was like reading that book about, it's called Try Hard, and it was about the creative practice. I thought it was so amazing, but I feel such a violent illness when I try to do anything, when I try to be anything. I feel like the ending of I have no mouth and I must scream, just like this thing, amorphous creature. Not that I've like struggled and been tortured within an inch of my life and ended up saving people, but more like, just imagine that creature. You think because I feel like that, in that vacuum of nothing, in that void, in that lack of presence that I feel within myself, I could at least pull anything out of it, like out of the ether, and do anything and be anything and whatever. But I can't. It's really hard. I always end up feeling like I'm just such a buffoon. So I struggle a lot. And I do this when I'm about to cry. And I try not to. It's just really hard. Obviously, this is a cry for help. I don't even know what the help would be, though. I don't know how to help myself. I have to depend on systems outside of myself to help me. At least on one regard. I think if there was just a piece of my life that felt like it was coming together in a way, it wouldn't feel so bad. It wouldn't be so bad. But I have ended up creating a life for myself where I'm largely alone. I have few friends, although I am very close to them and I love them very dearly. I have few friends. Many of them are outside of my immediate, vicinity. I'm working shiftlessly, aimlessly, and I have too much of an emotional capacity to actually shut off my brain. So all of my thoughts and all of my feelings end up magnifying on a feedback loop that I can't shake. And then this happens where, because my brain is so occupied, it's like my body shuts down. At some point, it comes back online, and I feel everything magnified, tripled, quadrupled, quintupled. Oh my gosh, sextupled. I think that's as far as I can go. I don't even know what it goes at. I don't even know if sextupled is correct. I know that sextuplets are a thing. It's so weird. I feel so shut down, and like everything is just kind of like gliding by, and then there are these moments where I'm triggered by something and I feel every anxiety and fear, every piece of self-disgust and loathing and confusion, every creative desire and every spark, every wall that those things end up hitting. And I feel it all in like one big rush. That rush is so big that it can't be processed. So it goes in choppy frames. So I'm hit and hit and hit and hit and hit and hit and hit until a week has passed, 2 weeks have passed, 3 weeks have passed, a month goes by, where all of it has been a slow crash, a crunch. It cripples. It's very painful. If I hate myself, and my work is so based on myself, it comes from me, it comes from my interests. Are the things that I create the last of my goodness and the last of my love? Or are the things that I create effigies and artifacts of myself, the thing that I hate the most? Don't know. I think I should go to the post office now. I should go to the post office. Maybe I can put this on the internet and people will find me understandable in some capacity. I don't know. Maybe I'll add on to this. I have no clue. But I should charge my camera and I should go to the post office. Okay, I'll do that. So, I returned my parcel, and I even got something really cool that I hope to be talking about in another video. But yeah, I thought that it would be nice to take a second to talk to myself and hopefully eventually an audience if I decide to be quite brave and put this out, which is I always knew that no matter how long I was alive for, I would somehow be making art. And now that I've made it to this age, I never really conceptualized what it would be like. I never knew how I would feel, and I never pictured what I would do, ever, really. I think the first time I kind of came to realize that I might be pushing it past my expected threshold, my expected due-by date, was when I was like 18 and we had an assignment in my AP government class to write a 5-year plan. And obviously I put down a bunch of stuff. I think I put down things that were aligned to my interests, but also things that I felt like were expected of me, expected of the trajectory that I was going. And then once I was in my bachelor's, it was like every moment was kind of like, prescribed, like I was in school again. I think it was really like 22. I was like, oh, I guess I'm like the master of my own making. Let me do something absolutely wild that I've always wanted to do, which is to move countries by starting a master's. I can't even go into the experience of what my master's was like. It definitely contributed, I think, to the social and mental situation I find myself in at the moment. It's even funny, like I kind of have to like squat and contort myself to even be in the frame of this current video right now, which feels, I think everything can feel symbolic at this point, but it also feels symbolic of where I'm currently at in my life. I want to make and produce something. So with the settings and guidelines that I've given myself for what a video should look like, what the background of a video should be, this is what the situation that we have going on, because everything else is just a little bit too subpar for me. It's too revealing. It doesn't fit. I thought it would just be nice to make videos that are both lightning, as in like full of like spark and kind of like cool, maybe a little bit fun, engaging to look at, but also lightening myself, my head, my emotional head, my diddy little thoughts that I feel I always end up having that clog up sometimes. Maybe I should make like an actual social media channel, like a TikTok or something, to get those out of the way, because I feel like that might be nice. It could be appropriate. Compartmentalizing is what I have to do at this point in my life, so I might as well compartmentalize even more things. Make little compartments for the compartments that have drawers. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I've said but yeah a million times. Maybe I have something mentally wrong. The state of the world surely isn't helping. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna say bye again. Wow. An update on the plant, by the way. Do you think it did it to get away from me? I think it did it to get away from me.